Good morning. I'm Dr. Neeta Mathur from SGSG Government College, Nasirabad, Department of English. Today we are going to look at the life of William Shakespeare. Shakespeare, the poet and the playwright. Shakespeare is prescribed for BA Part 1, Paper 1. Two of his sonnets are prescribed for students, and for BA Part 2 we have his play, Macbeth. First, to look at Shakespeare's biography. Who was William Shakespeare? An introduction. William Shakespeare was a renowned English poet, playwright and actor, born in 1564 in Stratford-upon-Avon. Stratford is a small town situated on the banks of the river Avon, therefore the name Stratford-upon-Avon. His birthday is most commonly celebrated on 23rd April. You can further check when was Shakespeare born via Google. This date, that is 23rd April, is also believed to be the date he died in the year 1616. Shakespeare was a prolific writer during the Elizabethan and Jacobean ages of British theatre, sometimes called the English Renaissance and the early modern period. Elizabethan age is a reference to Queen Elizabeth I, and the Jacobean age is a reference to the age of King James I. Shakespeare's plays are perhaps his most enduring legacy, but they are not all he wrote. Shakespeare's poems also remain popular to this day. Shakespeare's works include 38 plays, 2 narrative poems, 154 sonnets, and a variety of other poems. No original manuscripts of Shakespeare's plays are known to exist today. It is actually thanks to a group of actors from Shakespeare's company that we have about half of the plays at all, which means that in all he must have written more than 60 plays, half of which are lost forever. It is actually thanks to a group of actors from Shakespeare's company that we have about half of the plays at all. They collected them for publication after Shakespeare died, preserving the plays. These writings were brought together in what is known as the first folio. Folio refers to the size of the paper, just as today we have A4 as a size of the paper. In the olden days there was something called as folio. It contained, that is the first folio contained 36 of his plays, but none of his poetry. Shakespeare's legacy is as rich and diverse as his work. His plays have spawned countless adaptations across multiple genres and cultures. His plays have had enduring presence on stage and film. His writings have been compiled in various iterations of the complete works of William Shakespeare, which include all of his plays, sonnets, and other poems. William Shakespeare continues to be one of the most important literary figures of the English language. Shakespeare's life. Records survive relating to William Shakespeare's family. Through these, we can gain an understanding of the context of Shakespeare's early life and the lives of his family members. John Shakespeare, who was William Shakespeare's father, married Mary Arden, and together they had 8 children. John and Mary lost 2 daughters as infants, so William, who was actually the 3rd child, became their eldest child. John Shakespeare worked as a glove maker, but he also became an important figure in the town of Stratford by fulfilling many civic positions. His elevated status meant that he was even more likely to have sent his children, including Shakespeare, to the local grammar school. John was awarded a coat of arms, now displayed on the monument above the Shakespeare grave in Holy Trinity Church. Versions of Shakespeare coat of arms can also be seen on Shakespeare's birthplace outside of the Shakespeare Center and above the entrance to Shakespeare's new place. William Shakespeare would have lived with his family in their house on Henley Street until he turned 18. When he was 18, Shakespeare married Anne Hathaway, who was 26. There was a gap of 8 years between husband and wife. His wife was 8 years older than him. It was a rushed marriage because Anne was already pregnant at the time of the ceremony. Together, they had 3 children. The first daughter, Susanna, was born 6 months after the wedding and was later followed by twins, Hamnet and Judith. Hamnet died when he was just 11 years old. Shakespeare in London. Shakespeare's career jump-started in London. When did he go there? We do know Shakespeare's twins were baptized in 1585, and Shakespeare established his reputation in London by 1592. But the intervening years are considered a mystery. Scholars generally refer to these years as the lost years because there is no information about these years from 1985 to 1592. During his time in London, Shakespeare became a founding member of the Lord Chamberlain's Men, a company of actors. The company would later become the King's Men under the patronage of King James I, therefore the name the King's Men, from the year 1603. During his time in the company, Shakespeare wrote many of his famous tragedies, such as King Lear and Macbeth, as well as great romances like The Winter's Tale and The Tempest. New place. In 1597, William Shakespeare bought a home called New Place in Stratford-upon-Avon. Recent archaeological evidence discovered on the site of Shakespeare's New Place shows that Shakespeare was only ever an intermittent lodger in London. In other words, he did not stay there permanently or for long spells. This suggests that he divided his time between Stratford and London, which was a 2 or 3 day commute. We have to also keep in mind that in those days travel was done via stagecoaches, which were horse-drawn carriages, or on foot. In his later years, he may have spent more time in Stratford-upon-Avon than scholars previously thought. Shakespeare died in Stratford-upon-Avon on 23rd April. Remember? Perhaps the date of his birth? In the year 1616, at the age of 52. He is buried in the sanctuary of the parish church at Holy Trinity. That's all for today. We will continue tomorrow with more about Shakespeare. Thank you.